get a message or not? Did you guys get a message that says, hey, you need to do this? Please click yes. So officially, good morning. Welcome to Google Classroom Basics. I'm here with my co-pilot, Jeff Ward. This is Pam Wilson. I teach at Cherry Run in Burke. And Jeff, you teach where?
I teach at Poplar Tree in Chantilly.
Very cool. And I used to be what used to be an SBITS before there were SBITS, and I used to be a technology trainer before I became a music teacher. So that's one of the reasons why this is kind of second nature to me in a way. I struggle with things just like you do, and I pull my hair out just like you do. I just have some tools that help me figure it out sometimes. So Jeff has been doing some tech videos also. So Jeff, would you tell us a little bit about some of the ones that you've posted for us?
Sure. So I created a Google site. So I don't have a lot to do at my school right now. So I've been sort of playing around with stuff and learning some new tools. So I've been playing around with creating a Google site with some digital tools and some tutorials on there. And if you're in the Facebook group, it's in the files. I also put it in the shared drive on Google for everyone. I'll post it in the chat here as well. It's got a few pages on there. There's a page with information from the session that I did last week, and then I also made some Google Classroom tutorials, and then any other sessions that I do, I'll post information there. There's a couple Padlets on there too. If you have anything that you want to share, you can pop it on there. Or if you have any questions, you can also do it there. And I'll check it frequently because I don't have a lot to do. So leave me stuff and I'll get back to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I got an email from Kelly Dauberman, who's now in SBITS, and she was like, future SBITS. And I think, Jeff, you might want to think about that too.
I have been thinking about it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. So Jeff posted a couple of things for us. So let's talk about Google Classroom. And I want you to start thinking about, you probably have already, but I want you to start thinking about, how do I want to organize my classroom? If you haven't already set it up, how do you want to organize it? Because I've seen some things that work and I've seen some things that don't work. And we're going to sort of talk through some of that. I've seen in some classrooms that teachers are putting every single thing in the stream, which is not what the stream is for. I've seen, when I first started in classroom, I set everything up as an assignment, which is also not helpful. And I have gotten lost in trying to look at people's work and figure out, how do I look at people's work? How do I get them to respond to me? So those are some of the things that I've struggled with. Uploading audio files has been something that I've struggled with. How do I get the files on there so that the kids can actually listen to them from their particular device, whatever that might be? Because I have a Mac that I work on mostly, but I also have my school computer. And so that makes it easy for me to flip between an iOS versus the Windows format and kind of troubleshoot between the two of those. So that's kind of good as well. All right, so we're going to jump in. I'm going to go into Present Now, and I'm going to present my whole screen and jump over into Classroom. When you first go to Classroom, it's just classroom.google.com. You don't have to put the little H in there. And Jeff, jump in if there's any particular questions you see, or I need to stop sharing, or if there's anything, please feel free to just yell at me.
Sure.
So all of the classes that I've ever been in as a student or been in as an instructor are all here. You can archive classes once you're done with them. I've started adding the 2019-2020 in as a section to help me figure out which version of the class it is, since I've been using it for a couple of years now. The archived classes are gone, but you can see I have things all the way back to when Rachel did the conversational solfege. I can go into there, but she's gone. There we go. So that's how it's going to look when you first come in. When your kiddos first need to enroll, the thing that they're going to do is come up to the big plus right here. They're going to click the plus. They're going to click Join Class. They're going to enter your class code, and I'll show you how to get that in a moment. And then they're going to hit join. And once they do all of those things, so they go to the plus, they click join class, they enter the code, they hit join. Once they do that, then it kind of processes, and then the class will show up on your screen. And there they are. Okay. Now, to get into the class, I'm going to take us into 6th grade. It's for fun. I just click anywhere in there, and it opens it up. Now, the first thing that you come to is called the stream, and it's kind of like Facebook. Now, don't panic, because you can turn it off. Some of you are like, wait, what? If your kids are really good at this, you can leave it open and let them comment to each other. I have found that I let them comment on what I post, but they cannot comment on their own. So over the last couple of weeks, you can see I've just been adding little fun facts from history. There's a couple of comments here. I've been here's some videos of them when they were little I found in my stuff. You know, so just different things, and either they've commented or they haven't. I was doing some jokes of the day, and I got some good comments from that. So just little things to engage them, keep them kind of things. So these are like interesting things I hear on the news. I'll put something in there, or I'll, you know, some new artist I found or whatever. Anyway, lots of interesting things. So this is just a conversation with your kids.
And I would say that jumping in, that you might want to set it up initially so that the comments are off, because sometimes they abuse that privilege.
Yes.
So also there's a setting you want to be careful and make sure that, I think it's a setting, it's not an individual setting in the classroom. I think it's a setting for the entire, like your entire classroom page, to not get notifications every time they comment on something to your email. Because
for sure. And Jeff, I'm going to come back and show them all of those settings.
Okay.
Also, if somebody posts something inappropriate, you do have the option over here to come in here and delete their comment. Okay, which is a super good thing, because, you know, people. All right, I'm going to take you on a little tour, and then we're going to come back. I'll show you some settings. So classwork is where you're actually going to put the stuff that you're going to mostly do. Okay. And you notice that I've set it up into different sections based on topics, which is the way I have had it before. And then I also added for our new world, this distance learning topic. Okay. So within the distance learning topic, what we found has been working is putting it week by week, and whatever we're doing is in that particular week. That's how we set it up in Blackboard. And so I just moved that over here. We will see, I'm running into some issues with what I want to do with my 4th grade. So I'm problem solving on that one to see how to fit it in with one particular thing. So your topics are shown over on the right, on the left here. So you can just click into whichever one. This was a PBL we did, the 6th grade assessment. Composer Corner is the stuff that they're, all of their listening things from this year. Now, if you click into it over here, you can see it pops everything open, which annoys me. So, so I prefer to just scroll so that you can see the different things here. Okay. Now, the main topics that I have, the Recorder Roundup, Reading is Fundamental, and Composer Corner, are the same in all of my classes from 3 to 6. And that's just to make it consistent. All right. Now, you're wondering, did my kids actually get in or not? Are they in my class? So, and which ones are? So people is the next tab you're going to look at. So you can see I have a special ed teacher. I've got one of the classroom teachers asked to be on there. I'm noticing that view all. So our text person is on there. Oh, there's my other sixth grade teachers. Here's my other music teacher friend, you know, so my colleague. So that's the teachers that are in there. They can see all of the stuff that their kids need to do. You may or may not want the classroom teachers in. You kind of want to talk to your team and see. They found that some of their kids needed a little support, so they wanted to be in there. And then the kids, here's all the kids in the world. And these have all enrolled themselves. I did not enroll any of them. I didn't type anybody's name in. I'm really not excited about doing that kind of stuff. So they have all self-enrolled, and I highly, highly recommend that. All right. And then there's a grades thing, which we don't use a ton, but this is where you can actually export this file and use it. What we've been told, and you guys say if you've been told this as well, is that the work that they're doing right now, and I'm going to jump out of there because we don't need to see all the kids' names. The work that we're doing right now, if they participate, it can increase their grade, but if they don't choose to participate, then it cannot negatively affect them right now. So for their final grade, that's what we've been told. So, all right. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a second and pop out and just see what kind of questions are coming up right now. Jeff, how are we doing?
So I was looking through there some. Oh, there was a question about checking traffic. You can't necessarily see when they're logging in or how many people have logged in, but you can see. The other part of that question was if you can see when they access the assignment, and you can. I assume we'll probably talk about assignments in a little bit, but yes, you can see, you can kind of track what they're doing on their assignment, but you can't check to see who is coming in or not. And the code is like, if you put the code out, that's the easiest way for the kids to get in. In real life, the easiest way in the future is just, if you have devices, have them bring their devices into your classroom and put the code and do it while you're looking at them. It takes
or take them to the lab if you have a computer lab.
So that Caroline, does that kind of answer your question? So, well, okay. So inviting everyone to your classroom right now, however your school is set up. So if they can put out, so I can tell you what we did, because a lot of my classes were on Google Classroom already, but not all of Felix's classes had gotten on there, and not all the specialists were on Google Classroom prior to this. So what we did was I created a document that just had everyone, all the specialists with all of their Google Classroom. So I had one per grade level, and then we just put all of the codes in a Google Doc. So, and then that was posted, that was actually linked to the choice board, so that if one of the choices was for FLES, go to the 3rd grade Google Classroom and watch the Spanish video, they could link to this Google Doc and then find the code. So however your school is having it set up, I think if there's some sort of specialist conglomeration that can create something to send out, that's probably the easiest, so that all that information is in sort of a central hub.
Yeah, mine basically did the same thing. I love your idea of putting it online as a Google Doc. I didn't think about that, but we put together all of our codes. Some of our specialists have it teacher by teacher classes. Some of our specialists have it grade level by grade level. I like it that way, less to manage for me. Some have one classroom for the whole school, which are 3 kind of different ways that you might think about organizing yours if you haven't already set it up. So that's something that you have to decide how you want to do that. I'm going to give you some advantages of each one. For my PE teacher, she has it as the entire classes in the entire school is in one classroom, and I'm a small school. We're about 640, I think, 640 kids or something like that. So she's doing the same lesson for the whole school. Same thing for my art teacher. She's doing the same lesson for the whole school. She just has different levels of it within the same lesson. So for the 2 of them, it's for the whole school, and that makes sense for them. They don't generally use Google Classroom during the year usually, so this is kind of a new thing for them. For my Spanish teacher, she uses Google Classroom extensively, and she has very specialized lessons for each class based on what that class needs. So if, one 4th grade needs something different than a different 4th grade, she doesn't have to worry about clicking onto, I'm only assigning these 8 kids and those 12 kids doing something else. So she can just say, this whole class is doing X and this whole class is doing Y. I tend to think of more in grade levels. So when I do my planning, I plan for grade levels. And so that's how my brain works. So I tend to do more in grade levels. But you have to figure out what works for you. The downside of me doing grade levels is that, like Jeff, I have a co-teacher who may or may not use it as much. And so sometimes I have to be sure to uncheck her kids from the assignments, because I've had emails from kids that are like, we did this in Miss Dragony's class, and do I have to do it now too? And I'm like, no, you don't. Thank you for letting me know.
So Pam, I can share my screen real quick so that people can see like what is happening at my school. Hold on, window. There we go. Yeah. Just do my entire screen. All right, so I can show you guys my school's specials classroom, and you can kind of see what they're doing. So here's our document, and I already have every grade level except for kindergarten set up. So we have them per grade level, and both of us are on it. Strings has their grade level. Band, she has one that she uses for all three of her schools. And then art and FLES and library and PE have all kind of split it up over different grade levels. I think most of them had set these up after distance learning started. So that's just, and this is sort of like our centralized hub that we link to. You see there's a kid accessing it right now.
Yay!
And sure, I can share this with you guys. I'll put this in the shared drive so that you guys can use it with your school if you want. And
sure.
I do Google Classroom for each grade level. I used to do Google Classroom for each class I saw because my co-teacher didn't use it, and it was a little bit overwhelming. It's not terrible. I mean, I think now in distance learning, it's probably not the best route to go, but you can decide, like if you have a band and strings pull out and you have a small group and you want them to be a separate Google Classroom, you can do that. But I think grade levels are the way to go.
Yeah. So Anita, you asked me to do the 3 options again. So one option is the whole school is on one classroom. And then you can divide the classroom up into topics, maybe by grade level. That's one way. The downside of that is that everybody gets to see what everybody else is doing. And that's not necessarily the best thing. The second option is by grade level, like Jeff was just saying. So all of your kindergartners, or not necessarily kindergarten, all of your 3rd graders get this, all of your 4th graders get that, all of your 5th graders get this other thing. Downside of that is if you and your co-teacher are not necessarily doing the same thing, maybe you're not doing the same lessons, maybe one is using the computers a lot and one is not, that can get a little tricky. And then the third one is teacher by teacher. So classroom teacher by classroom teacher. So Miss Manicus and Miss Conroy and Miss Trump all have 3 different classes, and each of them have a different classroom within Google Classroom. So it depends on how you want to do it. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to go back into present. Let's talk about the codes. Let's talk about how to set it up, that kind of thing. All right, so I'm going to jump back over, hello, into Classroom. And if I am back at the home page down here and I want to create a whole new class, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to hit Create Class. I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to say Classroom Session, Basics Session. Maybe we'll all log in. Won't that be fun? And I'm going to say April 2020. And I don't really fill all of that stuff in. You can if you want to. And I hit Create. Let's all just log in. It'll be so fun. So it usually takes a few seconds to create, as always. And here you are. Ta-da! Now, the first thing, of course, that I want to do is to make this theme my own. So you can hit Select Theme. And there's just some basic ones at the top if you want. Or you can click into different ones up here and find one that you like. The arts, there's not a whole lot for music unless you want all of them to be exactly the same, which, you know, there's this one and there's that one. Sports, other. I tend to go by colors. I use the share the music texts, and so I tend to give the color of whatever book they are on. I did find one that I like, so let's do bowling. That'll be fun. Select class theme, and then there it changes up at the top. Now, the first thing I notice under April 2020 is class code. Ta-da! Now, that's really teeny tiny. If you, like Jeff suggested, you have them bring in their devices or you're in a computer lab, you click this big doohickey right here, click, and it makes it super big. So when I first go in the fall, usually, we'll take a day and we'll go to the lab at my school because we're not one-to-one. Jeff's is at a school with one-to-one. And we'll go in and everybody just logs in. Sometimes I also send that code around to the classroom teachers because as they're getting settled into the computers, if they can just have the kids log into everything in one session, then they just do that for us, which is super nice. Not every school does that, but that's another option. So that's probably the easiest place to find the code. All right, oops, I'm gonna leave that up here for a minute because I would love it if you guys open a new tab and go into classroom.google.com and enroll.
I'll answer a question that I saw from someone about asking if kids get kicked out if they don't log into Google Classroom in a while. Someone said that they noticed that they've seen kids in their classroom, but after a couple of weeks, I no longer see their name. I don't think it kicks them out. They can leave your Google Classroom if they want. So maybe that's what's happening. They're
yeah,
leaving.
To the best of my knowledge, the system does not kick them out, but they can unenroll. I just unenrolled from a class that was showing up and I was like, I don't need to see this anymore. So that is how you get rid of a class that you're in. So after we're done here, if you don't want to look at the Classroom Basics session post anymore, you can go, I don't want to be in there anymore, and just unenroll. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of this. So if you have not already enrolled, you can write that code down real quick. That would be great.
And Emily, to answer your question about unenrolling students, I believe you can delete any students out of your classroom.
Yeah, so if a kid moves away or something like that. Yeah.
And sometimes, like if I'm sending out invites, I'll accidentally send it out to the wrong kid if they have the same name in the system. So you can get rid of kids.
Yay, look at all these people posting on the stream. Now, the reason why you're allowed to post on that stream is that I didn't change any of the settings for that. So I'm going to show you how to change your settings. So the little gear icon in the upper right corner is where you're going to go to set up all your settings. This is also where you can go to change the name, add a description, and add any of the other basic information that we put in when we first created it. There's your code again if you need it. You can display it, excuse me, copy, reset, disable, all of that. Maybe you've had some weird people coming in and you need to reset it. That, you know, maybe the kids have passed it around to strange people and whatever. All right, here's the stream, under general, stream. Students can post and comment. That's what it's set to right now. Automatically, that's what it's set to. You get to decide. You get to decide how much this. For my little guys, for my first and second graders, only teachers can post or comment. That's what I set it to. For everybody else, I want to encourage academic conversations. So, and I want them to be engaged and I want them to talk to me. So I set it to students can only comment. So I post a video, I post a question, I post a joke. Kids can comment on that. That's the one I like. Now I'm going to set it to that so then you can see what that does in here. Now classwork on the stream, it does notify, it does on the stream if you add anything into the classroom, it posts a thing in the stream that says, hey, there's something here. You can also have it show attachments and details so that the kids, it's an easy way for the kids to get to the assignments. All they have to do is go to the stream. Everything there is posted. They just click on it and they're ready to go. They don't even have to go into the classwork screen if they don't want to. So that's a super easy way to do that. But again, that's up to you. If you want to make them go into the actual classwork tab, then you could hide the notifications. I think doing condensed notifications is fine, but if you want all the details there, you can do that. I'm going to do condensed. That's what it starts with. Now, if you want to, you can see the deleted items. Only you would see that, though the kids don't see that. And then this is the new thing, which is kind of cool. So when you're getting ready, we've been told at our school we're not going to be doing office hours anymore, but if you do want to have a session, or if you are doing synchronous learning, this is where you would do your generate your Meet link. So if I click this, there's my link, visible to students. It says yes. And when we get back out, I'll show you. Actually, I'll go ahead and save this now so you can see what that does. Right here at the top, it says there's your Meet link. So all the kids have to do is come into Google Classroom, click on that link, and you're in a session with them. It is super, super easy to set up that session. So all of that agonizing that we did with Blackboard Collaborate, this is how easy it is here. I know. So easy. All right, so I'm going to go back into the gear because there's a couple other things to know. Grading is the last thing. So that's where that Google Meet is, just to remind you. General, class code, stream, and then the new Google Meet thing that was just added this last week. Grading, we're really not usually really doing a lot of grading in here, and right now we're not grading at all, but there are some options here: total points, weighted by category, etc. There's some options there. All right, so I'm going to save. Well, I didn't do anything, so I'm just going to X out over here and come on back out. So now we're in the stream. Oh, I'm going to put this. So now I'm going to add this. I can do it for more than one class. Maybe I want to have the same question to my 6th, 5th, and 4th graders, right? I can go ahead and do it once and have it show up in 3 different places at once if I want to, or all of them, which is super awesome. It's one of the advantages of having separate grades or separate classes. So if you do homeroom teacher by homeroom teacher, you can still copy things into more than one place, which is kind of nice. You can have it for all the students, or maybe you're going to do a private message to just somebody. Maybe I'm only going to talk to Carla. I'm only going to send this to Tammy. That's it. So there are advantages in everything. So I'm going to post this. I could also schedule this post. So if I wanted it to show up tomorrow, I could sit down and do, like, if I just really got inspired, I could do like lessons for the next month and just schedule them all right now if I want to. If I'm working on it, I can save it as a draft. I'm going to just post it.
So the cool thing about being able to select the students that you send stuff to is that, like in the real world, if you have a pull-out group for band and strings and you want to just give like your small group an assignment, you can easily do that.
I love it. All righty. Anything else, Jeff, before we go into classwork?
No.
All righty. We're going to jump into classwork. Oh, by the way, I did want to say something. Let's say that you decide you made a mistake in there. These 3 little dots over to the right are what you're going to do to get back into there. So if you're like, oops, I didn't mean to say that at all. If you forgot to check you can delete it. If you forgot to copy it into the other classes that you wanted to put it in, you can copy the link and paste it over there, or you can edit it. So maybe you want to add something to it. Maybe you want to find a YouTube video to inspire people. Ooh, I'm trying to think of one. Let's see. This is one of the ones that we did for, I'll show you the lesson that we did for it. And I can search through. Oh, one of my kids showed me this one, which was really nice. But hey, why not Charlotte Church? It's awesome. So I'm just going to choose one. I'm going to add it. And now I have a link on there. So it's super easy. Those are the same options that you'll see in just a minute in classwork. All right, so I'm going to jump over to classwork. I have nothing. It's totally open. So let's say that I'm going to create a topic. A topic is those big sections that I was showing you before. So composer corner, recorder roundup, those sorts of things. So let's say that my topic, you could do a topic week by week. So let's say that you want week 3, April 27th to be your topic. And everything that they're going to do within that week is going to be underneath that topic. That's one way that you could do the topic. Maybe you want to create a topic for different kinds of activities. So singing. I call mine Sing a Song. With my little guys, I'm trying to figure out how I want to do my younger kids. So I'm just going to take you out for a minute and show you one of my first grades. I've set this up. It's a work in progress right now. So here's second grade. I've got distance learning with some generic things that they can do, right? A choice board. I have a YouTube channel where I read books, and then music play online. And so I've kind of separated things into different sections. I am not sure if this is going to work or not. This is, like I said, a work in progress. I'm kind of liking the topics by the weeks thing. We'll just see if that ends up working for me. We'll just see. Notice how I'm getting back and forth between my classes, by the way. There's a list over on the left there, and I can switch back and forth really easily that way. All right, so we're not sure how we're going to do that. So we've got sections. Maybe we're going to do it this way. Maybe we're going to do it that way. Now, the fun thing is that I can rearrange these just by dragging them now. Just drag it, drop it, drag it, drop it. Super easy. I just noticed there's a meet button right here that they added. That's cool. All right, so now I've got a section. It's like a little basket I want to put things in. I'm going to go under create, and I have all of these different things that I can use to create. Okay, now let me come back to assignment, because I originally was doing all assignments and I realized it was driving everybody crazy because it said that they had things due when they really didn't have things due. I'm going to go down to material. If I want to put something in here that is just something they're going to use. So I mentioned before we started recording that I just posted a folder that had all of my anchor charts in it. So I'm going to call that anchor charts literacy posters so that they know what it is. Okay. And I put a little description. Here are all the posters you would see around the music room. Okay. And I'm going to add. Now, here's a new thing. You can also create. So if like you haven't figured it out yet, I'm like, oh, I'm sitting here in my lesson and I'm thinking, oh, I need to put this in a Google Doc. Oh, I need to make a slideshow. Oh, I'm going to have them draw something. You can just go right in here and create it, which is kind of cool. And then it attaches to it. So that's awesome. But I already have created something and it's over in my Google Drive. Okay. So I go over into my Drive and I find that inside my share folder, I have a distance learning folder. And there's my theory anchor charts. Okay. Now, if I want just one chart, I would go in here and attach one thing. So let's say that I'm going to do literacy basics. This is like the ones that I had. I'm just doing this one. Okay. Now, before I go out of here, I'm going to make sure I decide which class it's going to be in. Again, this is that same choice. If I want to post it in 3 or 4 places at once, I can. I can give it to certain kids if I want to give it to certain students. Okay. And I can also choose which topic I want it to be in so that I can keep it organized. If I choose that it's not in a topic, I'm going to do that first. Then it just pops up at the top. And then the last thing to show you before you hit post, because you can't schedule it after you post it, hot tip, if you hit post, you can't come back and schedule it. You'll have to recreate it, but you can reuse it. Long story. All right, so over here, I'm going to hit schedule if I want to have it go on a certain day. Schedule material, a certain day. There's a little calendar, a certain time. Okay, and then I would hit schedule. Once you schedule it, you can come back and change the date, because like once we crashed that first week, we changed all of our dates to the second week. So you could come back in and do that. That's that. Once you schedule it, you can reschedule it. Okay. Now, for now, I'm just going to hit post. Post. And now you can see it post. It popped up to the top. And I went, oh, curses. I wanted it to be in week 3. Now, I can go back in here and edit. You can always edit. And that opens you back into the box, right? Here's the one thing that I've learned is when I screw it up, there is always a way to fix it. Usually, almost always. All right, but I can also just drag it down. That's a newer feature. So I just dragged it down and dropped it underneath the topic that I wanted, and there it is.
I do that all the time. I forget like 90% of the time which topic I want to put in, so I love the dragging feature. It's the best.
Love it, love it. So now I'm going to click, and that's where it pops open. And if the kids want to open it, dink, they just click on it. There's my wall in my classroom. And it's like they're in my classroom, and they're like, there's all those posters that we looked at all the time. All right, so I want you, go ahead just for yourselves, pop out of Meet for a second and go back into Classroom, and I want you to see what that looks like as a student.
So as I mentioned earlier, the one thing about Google Classroom that I hate is that you can't see what a student sees. So you either have to kind of create like your own account somewhere else, or have a student help you, because it can be like a little bit frustrating if you're trying to tell them where things are and you can't actually show them. So just keep in mind that their screen looks different from yours, and where things show up in assignments looks a little different. So they may have some challenges about like the turn-in button and where the work actually shows up. So if you're a student like in this Google Classroom, you're probably going to want to look through those and see how they show up.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to create a new kind of assignment. Come on back. I'm going to create an assignment. Actually, I'll create a question this time. So here's a question. So let's say that you just want to engage them in some way, or you want to check them about something. You can ask them any kind of a question. So you can do a short answer, or you can do multiple choice. I'm going to do multiple choice. Option 1. Option 2. And then again, I can come over to the right. I can have it in certain classes, certain students. I can assign points. I change all of these to 4. Or you can have it ungraded. In this case, I'm going to do ungraded. And if you want a due date, you can assign a due date, like it has to be done today, and a certain time if you want. And then I'm going to put this under week 3, since that's what we're doing right now. Students can see the summary or not. That's up to you. And I'm going to just click ask. So this is a fun way, again, to just interact with the kids. Hop over into your student account and go ahead and answer that question. Oops. Oh yeah, due tomorrow. That's fine. Now, if you were in the real world, you could ask, and you were in a one-to-one situation, or you're in a lab, you could hide the student summary and just show it on your screen at the front of the room, which is kind of a fun thing. In my screen, if you hop back over to my screen, you can see that as people are answering it, we're getting different, we're getting to see what the actual answers are and how you guys feel about this in real time, which is kind of cool. When I was a seminar presenter that we had to use, I can't even remember the name of it. There was some thing that people could enter with their phones and you'd see it right on the screen. And I'm like, oh, this is exactly like that. It's so easy to use and it's kind of fun. So if you wanted to answer like a quiz question, you could ask a quiz question. If you wanted opinion, you could ask an opinion. I mean, all kinds of different things that you can use with that. It's kind of fun. All right, now the last one I'm going to show you, you can play around with some of the rest of these, is assignment. Assignment. I can see that we have an overwhelming people like classrooms, so that's good. All right, so let's say that we're going to do a listening assignment. This is what I'm finding kids are doing. I had a very nice surprise this morning. I have a Squilt form, super quiet, uninterrupted listening task on my 4th, 5th, and 6th grade composer corner. And I happened to notice that there were responses to it and I haven't assigned it. It was like magic. Kids were responding to this and I opened it up and they were listening to their choices of songs and doing a listening chart about, you know, a song that they listened to on the radio. It was really kind of cool. So I'm going to say open the document below and write about a song you like to listen to. All right, so this is where we're going to go, and I'm going to change my points to 4, and I'm going to set a due date till tomorrow. And I'm going to put it under my week 3 topic. Now, this is going to get back to a little bit what Jeff was doing last week with using some sort of Google Doc as an interaction doohickey. So I'm going to go into, again, I can create a document here if I want to, but I already have a listening sheet that I created. So I'm going to go into I can either go into Google Drive or File. Either way, it works the same. And if I don't have it on my device here, I can drag it from my hard drive into here, which is fine. But I know that I've been in here recently, and actually, you know what, I can just search for it. Super quiet, uninterrupted listening task. And, oh, this is all of theirs. And there's my original, okay? So I'm going to add this document. This is a Google Doc. Now, you can, just so you know, you can take a Microsoft Word or a PowerPoint or something that you have on your hard drive and you can convert it into a Google Doc. You can convert it into Google Slides. You can convert a spreadsheet into Google Sheets. Super easy. Now, don't click Assign because I messed this up with my 5th graders this week and I had to fix it. It was not good. I did it fine with 6th grade. I did it fine with 4th grade. Somehow 5th grade, I got some very weird responses. So, so the next thing you want to do is under this little menu right here, you're going to click Make a Copy for each student. This is super important because if you just want them to look at it, so if it's just informational, that's fine. They can view it. If you want them to collaborate on something where everybody fills in a spreadsheet, then you want to do Google Students can edit, okay? But if you want them to turn in a paper, it's just like a handout. Think of it as a handout in your classroom. If you would give them a piece of paper in your classroom, this is how you give them a piece of paper in classroom, all right? So make a copy for each student. And then again, I'm going to assign it. Again, if you want to schedule it, you can schedule it, but assign. Now, what's happening in the background as you're working in classroom is that in your Google Drive, Google Classroom has made a folder for you. It's called Classroom. Inside, please do not delete that classroom folder, because that's where all of your kids' work is. That's where all of your assignments are. That's where all the copies, anything that you attach, that's where it puts it. It just keeps it there for you. So that classroom folder is really, really important. When, I'm going to close out of that. So when I open this up, if you go into your student account and you open up a Squilt journal, you can put your name in there, and then you're going to click Turn In, and then it'll be turned in. So I've assigned it to all of you, but nobody's turned it in just yet. So take a moment and just pop over there, just put your name on it and hit Turn In so you can see what the kids would see. Jeff, anything about, in your experience, about working in assignments?
Yeah, as someone was asking, so when they see it, there's a turn in button, and they can turn it in if they've done nothing. They can also not turn it in if they've done the entire thing. So yeah, you just kind of have to make sure that they're very clear. Like sometimes it says if they have to actually submit something, like it's a doc that you've created, it will say turn in. If it's just like a Google form, it will say mark as done. So I always say whatever it says, hit the blue button. I think it's blue usually, so that it marks it as done. But again, if they didn't do it for some reason, there is a tab of students who have been assigned and then turned in. So you'll just go, and if you knew the kid was in class that day and you don't see it, you can go to assign, and their work is there. When they submit it to you, they can't make any more changes, but they are able to unsubmit it. So if they accidentally didn't do it and they hit turn in, they can hit unsubmit and it will come back to them and they can re-edit.
Yeah, and that's good for kids to update what they said, maybe because you can give them feedback about what they wrote. And that's nice because then they can unsubmit, make whatever changes or corrections they need to make, and then submit it again to you, which is so fun. The learning process. We love the learning process. Alrighty, so come on back to Meet, and I'm going to show you about what to do with those assignments once they come in. So in my teacher view, I want to know if kids have turned this in. There's little comments over here that says that there's comments. But I noticed as I click this open that 7 people have turned it in, 25 have signed it. If I click right on that 7, it just brings up whoever has turned in it. And then I have a list over here sorted by status of people who have and have not turned it in. When I want to look at a particular assignment, I just click on theirs, right? Here's Misha's. Hey, Misha. Here's Misha's. And she would go in and all of her answers would be typed right in there. So this is her version of Google Docs. She can just type right in there. Looks like I have some issues with tabs and so forth that I maybe need to fix. And then when I'm ready, I can either give her a grade if I want to, or I can add a comment. Okay, whatever my comment is, whether it's a good comment, bad comment, correction, congratulations, thanks for doing this, all that sort of thing. And then I would hit post. Now your comments always have to be posted. Now I can sit here and have a whole conversation with Misha. I had one kiddo that I had 5 or 6 back and forth the other day because we actually had an actual conversation out here. She was on it, I was sitting on it. I looked back, she had commented again. I answered her question. We went back and forth and it was really nice. And then she was able to finish the assignment. And then when I actually gave her the grade, I hit return. And that's when she got to see, oh, it's finished. Okay. She's gonna be notified. I'm hit return. And then here's where I got confused. I was like, but how do I get back to my other thing? Classroom has actually opened up another tab so that I'm just looking at that one assignment. Okay, so I can close that window and I'm right back to where I was before. Okay. So you can have those conversations with your kids. So now there's 9 turned in, 24 assigned, and I graded 1. All right. You can also email your students from here, which is very nice. So if you haven't seen certain ones, you can click on them and say, hey, I've noticed I haven't seen you. Is everything okay? What's happening? And you can send them a nice little email. And it just hops into your Gmail account and you're ready to go. So everything's integrated. Yay. All right, I'm going to go back up to the classroom and I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm going to stop sharing because it's been just about an hour. And I want to see what kind of questions you guys still want me to cover, because that's kind of the basics.
Pam, I've been writing some of them down as they showed up on the chat, so I can address some of them. So back a while ago, someone asked about linking to Flipgrid. So if you're doing something, and someone also asked about kids not being able to figure out how to post pics or video. So I can talk about both of those. If Flipgrid is something that your students use, Flipgrid is awesome. It's super easy for them to make a video and submit it. It's so much easier than trying to have them submit stuff through Google Classroom. But yeah, you do need to have a student permission on file. So just check with your SBITs. I know that Heather last week was saying that they were like collecting those permission forms. And my school does just like a blast at the beginning of the year with like 3 pages of different tech tools that they are using. So I think it depends on your school. If they did that at the beginning of the year, that's awesome, and you're already good to go on that. But Flipgrid gives you a link, so you can post it. Actually, you can post it as a material or an assignment. It doesn't really matter because it'll be done in Flipgrid. So if it's something that you really want to make sure that they do, I would post it as an assignment. If it's like something optional, then you can put it as a material and a link. If you don't have permission to use Flipgrid, there is an option on any assignment that you make for kids to submit their own file. I will say that I tried this for like a year and a half, and it was largely unsuccessful. Well, it was sort of mixed. So they have to be able to, like, if they make a video on their computer, they have to be able to find that in their files, which for some of them is very difficult. It doesn't seem that challenging to us, but I think because so many kids are used to using Google, that it's so easy to save things and you don't really have to look for them in your files, that they struggled with uploading directly to an assignment.
Jeff, let me jump in on that one. If they have an iPad or they have an iPhone, it's actually super easy because you write with on one of those devices within Google Classroom, you can actually take the video and upload it like right there. On a computer, you have to go find the file. So that's something to consider.
Right. And we also, I think last week we talked about how you could do it in a Google form. So I can just show you real quick. If you're wanting your kids to submit a picture or a video, you could create a Google form, and there's an option for a file upload. So if you want to say submit a picture, and then instead of choosing a short answer or a multiple choice or whatever, you can choose file upload, and then it will give them the option to send you something from their Google Drive or from their computer, their hard drive. So that's another way that you can have kids post pics or video, but also, like we said, even though it's really not that hard, if you look at an assignment here, well, I guess I can't see it in my view, but if I went to like Pam's, there is an option for a student to click and submit a file. So I think right here, this is an assignment. I can add or create, and I can choose something from my Google Drive or a file from my computer. So that's also an option. Again, it's not really that hard, but for some kids, it's challenging.
Yeah, encouraging them to name, I mean, and this is something that they would probably had to have been working on all year, but naming it a name that you actually is useful. You know, just putting it my document is not going to help you because that's going to be everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, using a useful name that you can then search for, that's, you know, that's a good practice to get into, but that's new for them.
Someone had asked about 100-person limits on assignments that they saw someone posted. I think that was Michael Dennis having some issue with his Google account, as I think it's educator accounts don't have a limit. I've never run into that. I've had more than 100 people.
It is one of the advantages of having a grade level or a classroom instead of the whole school on your Google Classroom. I did see a question, Jeff, about changing something from an assignment into a material. And while you cannot do that, I'll show you how to copy.
Why can't I hear Pam? I've already gone in and out. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, somebody's mic's on. And I recognized the voice. I can't think who it was.
That's good, but I can't hear her.
It's Deb Rudd. I hear you, Deb Rudd. All right, so if I go in here and let's say that I made this into an assignment where I really just wanted it to be material, I can go in and edit, and then I can copy that. If I right click on it, I can copy the link address for that item, whatever that was, and then go back in and create material. And when I add it, I just add in the link. Add link. And then there's that document now. Now, the thing is that if you have it here, you can't have it be, it's just something they would open. They would have to do save a copy or something like that. So material. So just be careful. If it's just, let me show you, actually, I'll show you how I use materials over in my actual classes. Most of the things that I do, you can see the icon is material. The only thing that's an assignment is the recorder performance reflection, because that's something that they're each going to get a separate copy of, and there's no due date on it. So almost everything that I have, right, recorder, if you don't have one at home, PS, I found a couple of places they can order recorders. Let's see. This was an actual assignment, but most of these are just materials. So just think carefully before you do that. There's a question I did for just to engage them. There's the Squilt Journal. And again, I decided to do it as an assignment because I wanted each one of them to have their own copy. I want to talk a little bit, one thing about Flipgrid. I tried 2 different things and you get to decide how you want to do it. If you use Flipgrid, here's my Flipgrid setup. I have a grid for each grade level. And rather than give them a link for each individual song, I decided to capture the link, the code for the whole grid. I just decided that was an easier way to do it. So I right-clicked on it. Again, I copy link address. And then when you go back into Google Classroom, you can go in and create, I'm going to create material, 5th grade Flipgrid. I add a link, I paste, I add link, and there it is. So now, if you were to click on that link, oops, I forgot to put it somewhere. See, there you go. I'll bring it down here into our folder, and I get to put it wherever. When I click on that link, blink, it goes right into the login. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you one more tip about Flipgrid that I've started to do with my lower grades. So I have a first grade and a kindergarten Flipgrid now, which is pretty awesome. But what I did was I gotta remember where I did it. Oh, it's within the grid. So I went into my choice board sharing and I added a guest code. So for the little guys, if you go in and set up your guest code, turn that on, make it easy for guests such as family members and content experts to access this topic. But what it does is it allows them to get in there without having a login. So I'm going to copy this. You can also give them a QR code, which is pretty cool. Okay. And I'm going to put this in our classroom as material. And I want you to click on that to just see the difference. Lower grade Flipgrid. Add link. Okay, and I'm going to put guest link. Because when you click on this one, it does not give you the login. Right? Whoop, I did it again. Jeff, there you go. Right? Forget it.
It's the great thing about being able to drag. I don't think you used to be able to do that, which was really frustrating.
Yes, you constantly had to edit. So now if I click in Flipgrid, I'm just in. And that's a really nice difference. So if you, now the thing is that if they, when they go to record it, right, the first thing it does is they have to enter their name. And that's how you know who's doing it. Whereas if they log in, it automatically enters their name. But the little guys, they have such a hard time logging in. I think that's an easier way to do it.
We had a couple kids, we had a Flipgrid that we posted that said like, just say hi to the music team and music teachers, and we had it open and kids were putting things like, guess who I am, because they would have like a stuffed animal or their dog, but it showed their name because they
You can't see me.
Yeah. And they made a big deal like, I'll reveal who I am tomorrow, and like we can all see who's Jay. We can all see you, Jay. It's you.
I love it. All right, how are we doing? 11, it's a little bit after 11. Basically, you can connect just about anything else that you do online with Google Classroom. That's really the good news. And so it's really only limited by your imagination and your willingness to try things. So, oh, Jeff, one thing I didn't show them is how to reuse a post. Oh, the code, if they're not able to get the code to work, remind them that they do have to be in fcpsschools.net. If the parent tries to log in with their own Gmail account, it will not work. Because this is within our little Fairfax County, firewalls. Make sure that. Catherine, I'm not sure. Jeff, can you make them go directly to the, can you set where the starting point is for a particular class? I can't remember. I think it automatically goes to the stream. I don't think you can hide the stream.
Yeah, I don't think so, but you can set, yeah, it shows up as the stream, but isn't there an option to turn off notifications on the stream so that there's like nothing there? Right?
Yes. Yes, I'm looking in it under stream. Under stream, it's only students can comment, teachers can comment. And if you do only teachers can post or comment, they'll just get bored with it, honestly. They'll just be like, oh yeah, it's just this stuff. And they just go to the next place. I've tried that with classes as well.
One thing from the student view, I'll go into Pam's and I'll share my screen. That I learned from this video the other night is that, and there's no way around this, but when they see the assignment, they can just go here to the Quilt Journal and open it up. But then when they go back to say turn it in, it's not there because they just looked at this like classwork stream. So you kind of have to get them used to clicking go to view assignment, where their work is right here and the turn in button is there. Because if they just access it from the classwork stream, they're going to have to go back here and find the assignment and turn it in. So it's just like another step. But one thing I learned about Google Docs, and I think it's just Google Docs, if you look up here, there's a turn in button at the top of a Google Doc that will take you straight to, oh, I'm in a different account. But if you are giving them a Google Doc, it'll take them straight to turn in at the top.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
I just learned that. So it's just a matter of making sure that they actually go to the assignment page so that they can see everything, because it happens even with kids that are used, like my kids use Google Classroom all the time in their gen ed classes. They still forget to turn in assignments or mark it as done, or they turn in something that they haven't actually done any work on.
So before you hit turn in, will you go back to your home, your Google Classroom home screen and show what it looks like if you have something due?
Sure. So you can see here, I think someone asked about this. When they go to Google Classroom, it will pop up and show what's due and when it's coming up, which is nice for them to see that, so that they don't have to, if it's an assignment and you have a due date, they don't have to log in and look up your classwork to see that.
Wonder.
Yeah.
Just like do something.
And I can show you guys, I like Pam's categories that she created. I might do something like that next year. In mine, because most of what I do is just in class, I just sort of arrange it by assignments and resources, so that I say, we come in, here's the assignment that we're doing. We're going to do this recorder Flipgrid. And when you finish, you can go up and play on one of these websites in the resources. So there's multiple ways to set things up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's very individualized. It's, I mean, if you talk to your classroom teachers, you're going to find other ideas. My daughter uses this almost exclusively. She teaches language arts in a middle school in Las Vegas, and she uses Google Classroom every day. And that was way before they were on distance learning. So yeah, lots of good ideas. All right. Well, this is the basics. There's lots and lots of resources online. You can go to YouTube and search how to use Google Classroom. There's a million, especially now, but there's a million videos. So if this has been kind of basic for you and you want to do some more advanced things with it, you can go and search that out. Jeff, I'm sure you would be available for questions. Yeah, and I am as well. So reach out to us again. I'm going to stop the recording so that we can do that. So thank you. Thank you all for